Well, it is Tuesday, and so far it is a much slower week in Idaho politics compared to last week. Do you remember? That's when the governor went to the southern border to learn about the crisis there, and in his absence, the lieutenant governor stepped in and executed an executive order. Well, we talked a lot about that dynamic, but what about the trip to the border? Today we spoke with Governor Little for the first time since his trip to learn more about his mission there. He was at the Idaho State Police headquarters comparing notes with ISP troopers and leaders who were sent to the southern border earlier this summer to help assist with the situation there. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Arizona Governor Doug Ducey sent a letter back on June 15th to fellow governors in every state asking them for extra manpower to help secure the border. Now, Idaho compiled a 5-person team that went on a 21-day mission to assist Arizona State Police with intelligence gathering and investigative work related to drug interdiction at the southern border. There are major issues and concerns with meth and fentanyl coming into the United States from Mexican cartels. And to set the stage here, we asked a question many of you had back in July when Idaho announced that they were sending their 5 troopers to the southern border. Many of you texted in. Why was Idaho doing this, and was the whole thing simply a part of political drama, doing something for show? Well, Idaho State Police Colonel Kedrick Will says he had a message for leaders after they asked for his assistance. Here's what he told them.
I explained to him that Idaho has no interest in sending somebody down for any type of a show. We're sending workhorses. And that's what he wanted, and he said, if you'll send workhorses, we'll put them to work, and that's what he did. We sent the very best we had, and they used them as troopers are used to be working.
So we got the picture. They were working down there. They weren't there for a holiday, to be clear. But what did the troopers do and see? Well, the short answer is they did and saw a lot. And Idaho State Police Sergeant Kurt Sprout was one of the troopers at the border working. We heard about his experience this afternoon.
We worked in the southern Arizona area, and we'd go into towns in that area or cities, and there were literally fentanyl drug dealers on every corner. Impaired driving was awful. And like I alluded to earlier, these people are so addicted to these highly addictive drugs that it totally consumes them. So they start committing crimes, some of them violent crimes. That was the most dangerous place I've worked in my career, I'll tell you that. And it wasn't even close. And so that's a direct link to what's going on at our southern border. And the experience we got was outstanding. And we've already implemented some of the things we've seen, to include multiple large seizures of drugs that we've had since.
I want to straighten this out so we're all on the same page. Governor Little was at the border last week. That was a separate mission from ISP when they went in July. Of course, all of it is correlated together, but I wanted to make sure we're all very clear here who went where when. Anyways, after learning from ISP's experience and from his own firsthand conversations and experience at the border, here's what Governor Brad Little had to say earlier about the next steps in the battle against illicit drugs coming into the United States.
We have to do multiple things. We got to have, as we have with our Behavioral Health Council, we've got to have treatment, we've got to have education, but we got to have interdiction. But right now the problem is it's so cheap and it's so abundant that it's going to overwhelm our system of what do we do for substance abuse for these people.
Beyond that, Little and other Republican governors put together a 10-point plan that they say President Biden can take to end the crisis at the border. And we'll go over the 10-point plan here that Governor Little was a part of. It includes the following: fully reinstate the migrant protection protocols, end catch and release, clear the judicial backlog. It also goes on to have a point about re-enter all agreements with our Northern Triangle partners in Mexico, send a clear message to potential migrants, and also deploy more federal law enforcement officers down at the border. So it is wait and see if any action at the border happens and if those actions translate into real differences. Now, of course, while Governor Little was at the southern border, his Lieutenant Governor, Janice McGeehan, stepped into his role and she was ready to go. As we told you, of course, she signed the executive order while Little was in Texas. So we asked him about it. Here is his response.
I was focused on this, and we took care of that. And right now, this is because this is not, even if the president implements all 10 of these things, this problem is going to continue to fester. It seems like
Change the subject back to talking on the border. So if you read between the lines here, you get the sense that Governor Little is ready to move on from questions about the lieutenant governor. I know it is our job in the media, and we'll be asking about it going forward. But again, you can see when we asked about it earlier, that's what the governor has to say about that situation last week.